I never thought I'd be the guy writing one of these posts. My wife and I had been together for 5 years, married for 2. At the start, she was sweet, funny, and always seemed to have my back. But looking back now, I think she just knew how to say the right things to make me trust her. The first red flag came about a year into our marriage. She told me she had to work late. No big deal, I thought. I even brought her dinner to her office as a surprise. But when I got there, the office was dark. No one was inside. I called her, and she said she was in a meeting and couldn't talk. I stood there, in front of the locked door, listening to her lie to me in real time. I told myself it was nothing. Maybe I got the location wrong. Maybe she moved to another building. But deep down, something twisted in my stomach. That little twist? That was the moment I should have known. A few weeks after the locked office incident, she told me she had to go to a team-building weekend with her coworkers. She made it sound boring. Trust falls, name tags, all that stuff. I didn't think much of it until I saw her suitcase. It wasn't her usual small bag. It was the big one we used for vacations. And when she left it open in the hallway for a moment, I saw she had packed her red dress. The same red dress she once told me she'd never wear to anything work-related because it was too sexy. When I asked why she needed it, she laughed and said, "Oh, we're having a silly dress-up dinner on the last night." She said it so casually, like I was stupid for even asking. The problem? On Sunday night, she came back sunburned. Her team-building trip was supposedly in a conference center 3 hours inland. That's when the second twist in my stomach hit, and it hurt worse than the first. 2 days after she got back, I was scrolling through Instagram during my lunch break. I don't follow her coworkers, but one of my friends does, and the algorithm served me a picture that made my heart stop. It was her, in that red dress, standing on a beach. She was holding a drink with one of those tiny umbrellas, her arm wrapped around a guy I'd never seen before. He wasn't dressed like a coworker at some team-building dinner. He was shirtless, wearing sunglasses, and smiling like they were on a honeymoon. The caption under the picture? "Best weekend ever with these 2 lovebirds smiling face with hearts, #couples retreat." I must have stared at that screen for a full minute, my food going cold in front of me. I felt this sharp, icy rush in my chest. She had lied, and not even in a small way. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was betrayal in high definition. I didn't message her right away. I just saved the post. Something told me I'd need it later. That night, I decided to confront her. I waited until after dinner, when she was scrolling on her phone, and I said, "So, how was the beach?" She froze for half a second, barely noticeable, but I caught it. Then she smiled, tilted her head, and said, "What beach? Babe, are you feeling okay?" I pulled out my phone and showed her the Instagram post. She didn't even blink. "Oh, that," she said, laughing. "That was just a joke. We drove to the coast one evening. It was a quick trip. And that guy? He's married. We were just goofing around for a photo." The way she said it made me feel like I was crazy for even bringing it up. She leaned forward, touched my arm, and said, "You know I'd never cheat on you. Don't you trust me?" And just like that, I backed down. I told myself maybe I was overreacting. Maybe she was telling the truth. But deep inside, the knot in my stomach kept tightening. About a month later, I was cleaning up the living room while she was in the shower. Her purse was on the couch, half open, and her work phone was sticking out. Except, it wasn't her work phone. It was a phone I'd never seen before. It was slimmer, newer, and had no case. I pressed the power button, and the lock screen lit up with a photo of her, the same red dress, standing next to the same shirtless guy from the Instagram picture. Before I could think, a text notification popped up. "Can't stop thinking about last weekend. When's the next one? Red heart." My hands went cold. I didn't even need to read more. I slipped the phone back exactly where I found it. When she came out of the shower, she was humming to herself like nothing in the world was wrong. That night, I couldn't sleep. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, wondering how much of our life together was a lie. A week later, she told me she had to go on another work trip. This time, it was supposedly for a training seminar in another city. I asked if she wanted me to come along. I had vacation days saved up and thought maybe we could turn it into a little getaway. She laughed and said, "Babe, it's literally just lectures in a hotel conference room. You'd be bored out of your mind." 2 days into her seminar, I got a text from her saying she was exhausted from sitting in meetings all day. A minute later, I opened Facebook and there she was, tagged in a photo, sitting at an outdoor cafe, laughing, holding hands with the same guy. The post was from someone I didn't know, so I couldn't see the comments, but the location tag said Paris, France. She had told me she was in Cleveland. That's when my anger started to outgrow my confusion. If she could lie this easily, she could lie about anything. I didn't confront her right away. Instead, I replied to her text with, "Sounds boring, can't wait to have you home." I wanted her to think I was buying the story. That night, I dug through old bank statements. There it was, 2 recent charges for airline tickets to Paris, both purchased on her personal card. One was in her name. The other? Same last name as the shirtless guy. I screenshotted everything. I also called my buddy Mark, who works in IT, and asked if he could help me pull photos or messages from a phone backup, just in case I ever got my hands on that second phone again. For the next 2 days, I played the role of the clueless, supportive husband. I told her I missed her, asked how this seminar was going, and even offered to pick her up from the airport. She said, "Don't bother, I'll just take an Uber." That told me everything I needed to know. She didn't want me to see who she was traveling with. The day she was supposed to come home, I left work early and drove straight to the airport anyway. I didn't tell her. I parked where I could see the arrival's exit and waited. After about 20 minutes, I saw her. She was laughing, dragging her suitcase behind her, and right next to her was him. The same guy? The red dress guy. They weren't being subtle. He had his arm around her waist. At one point, he kissed the top of her head while they waited for their luggage. My stomach twisted so hard I thought I might throw up. I grabbed my phone and started taking pictures. My hands were shaking, but I kept snapping until they walked out to the curb. Sure enough, a black Uber pulled up, and they got in together. I didn't confront them there. I wanted her to feel safe, right up until I dropped everything on her at once. She walked in that night like nothing had happened. She even kissed me on the cheek and said, "I'm so tired, babe." Those meetings were brutal. I let her put her suitcase down before I pulled out my phone and laid it on the counter. On the screen were the airport photos, side by side with the Paris Cafe picture. Her smile dropped instantly. "Wow, what is this supposed to be?" she stammered. "You tell me," I said. My voice was shaking, but it wasn't from fear anymore. It was pure anger. She tried to laugh it off. "That's not what it looks like. We just happened to be on the same flight back. Total coincidence." I slammed the bank statement down next to the phone. "Coincidence? You bought his ticket." That's when her tone changed. Her face hardened, and she snapped, "Fine. Yes, we went to Paris. You never take me anywhere." I deserved it. It felt like getting punched in the chest. Not only was she cheating, she was blaming me for it. Instead of apologizing, she went full attack mode. "You're so controlling," she said, throwing her hands up. "You spy on me. You stalk me at the airport. Do you even hear yourself?" This is why I needed to get away. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She had lied, cheated, and flown across the ocean with another man. Yet somehow, I was the villain in her story. When I told her to pack her things, she laughed. "This is my house too. If you want me gone, you'll have to drag me out." So, I didn't drag her out. I went to the bedroom, grabbed the second phone from her purse. She hadn't even bothered to hide it this time, and locked myself in my office. Within minutes, my buddy Mark was on a video call, walking me through how to pull all the photos, texts, and call logs. What we found made my stomach turn. She and this guy had been seeing each other for over a year. Paris was just the latest in a long list of getaways. That evening, I called her into the office. She came in cautiously, still trying to smile, still trying to act normal. I didn't waste words. I opened the folder on my laptop and clicked through everything: screenshots of messages, photos from the airport, bank statements, travel itineraries. Her face went pale. For the first time that night, she didn't have a lie ready. I can explain," she whispered, almost inaudibly. "Explain?" I asked, my voice low and cold. "You've been lying, cheating, gaslighting me for over a year. You've flown across countries behind my back. You want to explain that?" She didn't say anything. She just looked down, her eyes darting to the floor. That silence hit me harder than any argument could. At that moment, I knew I had 2 choices: try to patch this broken marriage or walk away for good. I took a deep breath and made my choice. "I can't do this anymore," I said. "I can't trust you. I can't live in a house where lies and betrayal are part of everyday life. I'm done." She started to protest, but I held up my hand. No, save it. I've heard enough. You made your choices, now live with them. I packed a small bag for myself that night and stayed at a friend's apartment. I left her with the house, the furniture, everything. I realized that some battles aren't worth fighting, especially when the other person doesn't even care about truth or respect. For the first few days, I felt empty, broken, angry. But I also felt free. Free from her lies, her manipulation, her constant need to be in control. The first few weeks were rough. I'd catch myself reaching for my phone to check if she'd texted, only to remember I didn't want to hear from her ever again. Friends and family were supportive, but it was lonely at times. I spent hours walking, thinking, and journaling. I realized just how much energy I had wasted worrying about her lies, trying to read between the lines, trying to fix something that was never mine to fix. Then something unexpected happened. A colleague at work, someone I barely knew, invited me to a weekend hiking trip. I almost said no, but something in me said go. That trip reminded me there's a whole world outside of heartbreak, a life filled with honesty, laughter, and people who actually care. Slowly, I started rebuilding routines, passions, and friendships I had neglected. Every time I felt anger or sadness creep in, I reminded myself. I walked away. I chose myself. Months later, I didn't run into her, and honestly, I didn't want to. But I kept thinking about everything that had happened. The lies, the cheating, the way she tried to make me feel guilty for her actions. I realized something important. Some people will never change, no matter how much you love them or how hard you try. Trust and respect are non-negotiable. If they're gone, the relationship is gone. I also learned that betrayal hurts the most when you give someone power over your emotions. By walking away, I reclaimed that power. I stopped blaming myself, stopped replaying every conversation, stopped questioning reality. Most importantly, I learned to listen to my gut, to value honesty above comfort, and to protect my peace at all costs. Here's what I'd tell anyone going through something like this. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. Don't ignore red flags just because you want to believe in the person. Document what you can. It sounds extreme, but having proof of repeated lies or betrayal can help you make clear, confident decisions. Prioritize yourself. Your mental and emotional health matters more than trying to save someone who doesn't deserve you. Walk away when it's time. It's painful, yes, but the longer you stay, the more damage is done. I won't lie, the betrayal still stings sometimes. But I sleep better, laugh more, and love myself harder now. I learned that ending a toxic relationship isn't failure, it's self-respect. So, if you're in a marriage or relationship where lies, manipulation, and betrayal dominate, don't wait for things to get better on their own. Take your power back. Walk away. You deserve better. If you want, I can compile all 15 parts into a single, polished story ready for a Reddit post with smooth transitions and a conversational flow. It would feel like one complete narrative rather than separate segments. Do you want me to do that?